caused by invasives are multiple. The main thing I would explain is, imagine a big bully that elbows you out of the way and eats your lunch every day. That's basically, these are bully species. They take up space. They crowd out the native plants. They suck up the nutrients and water from the soil. They block the sunlight. They prevent the native species from growing. And they also prevent birds from getting in and feeding on the berries and the leaves, and the butterflies and moths from eating on the native plants. They have these non-native species. A lot of these species, frankly, don't even taste good. And many of them, even the deer won't eat. So the deer will eat even the young native species that are trying to grow, but then they won't eat the invasives. And so even the deer, which are running rampant here, will facilitate the takeover by invasives because the deer won't eat them. The DPW is here to do a lot of the heavy work in this project in a place where the invasive problem has gone on for far too long, and it really requires serious intervention. This project, we've received applied for and been awarded a grant from the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions to address twofold. One, this parcel, and to improve it, and the other is to teach the public. This parcel has such a problem that there's a lot of heavy work that needs doing. And DPW is going to come in and do that. And when I say heavy work, you'll see guys with chainsaws cutting down trees, mature trees, young trees, both, that have been torn down by huge vines, literally pulled down with the weight of invasive vines that have taken over. You'll see bushes that are huge that have taken over the ground. Nothing can grow under them, and those will be removed. What the DPW is going to do is to cut out enough of space for the trail to go through, and a lot of this material they'll leave on the side. It'll rot and it'll become part of the soil again. One thing you should also know about invasives is this is one of the many symptoms of climate change. The changes that we've seen here, the extremes in rainfall from the drought to flood cycle, the hotter summers, the milder winters, combine to facilitate the invasive species. The trees, the native trees, are under stress and they die more easily. Many of the insect species, when the winter is too warm, they don't get killed off. And so you have more of the bugs survive, the insects survive through the winter and can return in the spring. So putting this in context, climate change and invasive species and the damage to our open lands is something you're seeing not just in Metuchen or central New Jersey, but even in our surrounding states. So it's a nationwide problem, and as you know, climate change is a global problem. People are dealing with this problem elsewhere. So it's something where you can take action, even in your own backyard, to try to do something about basically on the ground effects from climate change. The invasive species that are here are found all around the Northeast, and they've caused extensive damage in forested areas around here, and also in farm fields, playing fields, any unused piece of property.
Hi, I'm Angela Dole, and I'm chair of the Metuchen Environmental Commission. I wanted to welcome everybody here today to our Centennial Park ribbon cutting. Centennial Park is our largest park in Metuchen, and we're so excited for all the work that's recently been done here. I'd like to introduce Councilwoman Dorothy Rasmussen, who is the liaison to the Environmental Commission from the Borough Council.
Good morning, everybody. Thank goodness we've had a wonderful day today. We weren't sure of the weather, but we were going to do this rain or shine. We were going to be here today. So it is so wonderful that the borough was able to utilize a grant that was awarded to us approximately 2 years ago to do improvements at Centennial Park with the specific project of removing invasive species and replanting with native species. It's so important for us to have native species in our parks and you know, around our homes and in our gardens, because that is what really feeds our bees and insects that are good insects. And of course we need bees for pollination so that we can have food. So we're very happy that we had a great group working, the Environmental Commission, and this project was headed by Brian Weeks. And I'm going to turn it over to him so he can tell you the timeline of the project and then recognize the people that were instrumental in getting this project done.
Good morning. If I can say one word to really sum up the project, it's thank you. All the people behind me and next to me participated in this project and helped make it happen. Thanks first of all, of course, to the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions, who provided a grant of $1,500 to make this happen. That funding was spent to purchase trees and native bushes, and we even have the invoices for the final report. But that would not have gone very far, especially given the large area here that required work that's been devastated by invasive plant and insect species, and by an overpopulation of deer, and by climate change. The real synergy came in with the borough and the volunteers. The borough of Metuchen contributed significant efforts, both of their resources of money and of personnel. Speaking of personnel, let me say thank you to Mr. Brian Lewis on behalf of the Department of Public Works. The amount of work they put in here, we're talking chainsaws, backhoes, bucket loaders, okay? And they made it into piles because they were dead trees, because they'd been killed by climate change and by invasive plants and insects. So all this area was cleared out. So starting last spring, despite the pandemic, people came out here and volunteered. We have Boy Scouts here today. Troop 17 was very active in working out here in the woods, spreading wood chips, as I recall, and also cutting down some of the vines. There are vines here that are thicker than your leg, pulling down trees. So in addition to the Boy Scouts, the Borough Council, the volunteers, we have some of the volunteers here. We have Jerry Rice, we have Mark Hertzberg, Pete Fairclough, some of the guys who got out here despite the risks, the COVID, the mosquitoes, the heat, the poison ivy. Poison ivy is native, by the way. All of that. They came out here in all kinds of weather. People love trees. People love to plant a tree. But how do you maintain them? We've all heard about the attacks of climate change. It weakens the trees. There's a lot more invasive plants and species. You've heard of the emerald ash borer, the spotted lanternfly. Those are insect species that are just running wild, and the trees succumb to them more easily because they've been weakened by climate change. And in this woods here, we've had all sorts of invasive species. So if I can leave folks with two thoughts, it's this. It's worth taking the time to learn what the invasive plants are. Pull them out, identify them, know what they are, and remove them. And don't plant new ones. And the other folks we should thank, by the way, is the High School Video Club and the town videographer, Brandon Eulig, and Ben Solaski is here for the High School Video Club. And also Walt Stochel from the Edison Greenways and Wetlands Group led a walk through here with a bunch of people to teach them as well.
All right, we're going to do our hands all together.
We're going to do the hands all together.
Hands all together.
Ready? On three.
One.
1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Welcome back to Centennial Park with a lot less invasives and a lot more native plants.